The galaxy begged Terra for its strongest fleet. Terra sent only 50 ships, and that was the moment the enemy made its final mistake. The emergency chamber of Astrian Ring was usually filled with trade talks, border debates, and quiet arguments between old rivals. Today, every seat was full and no one cared about politics. A giant star map floated above the center floor. Red lights spread across it like open wounds. Each light marked a system lost to the Kryll Dominion. In 6 months, the Kryll had crossed the outer territories, broken defense lines, and left entire colonies silent. They did not build, they did not rule. They took what they needed and left ruins behind. High Speaker Orvin Kell stood beneath the map with both hands pressed against the podium. His voice was tired before he even began. "The Lyra Gate is all that remains," he said. "If it falls, the inner worlds will have no shield. Evacuation is impossible. We are asking Terra to honor the defense pact." The chamber turned toward the human seat. Ambassador Nadia Vale sat alone. She wore a simple black coat, no visible weapon, no shining badge of rank. Among the bright robes, crystal armor, and ceremonial crowns of the coalition, she looked almost out of place. Then she stood, and the room became still. "Terra has received your request," Nadia said. "We understand the scale of the threat." A silver-skinned delegate leaned forward. "Then your navy is coming?" Nadia paused. It was less than a second, but everyone felt it. "Vanguard 9 will depart within 12 hours. 50 vessels." For a moment, the chamber did not react. Then the whispers began. 50? Against the Kryll? That is not aid. That is a funeral escort. High Speaker Orvin looked at Nadia with open pain. "Ambassador, we are not asking for symbols. We are asking for survival." Nadia's expression did not change, but something in her eyes grew colder. "Vanguard 9 is what Terra is sending." Orvin's voice lowered. "Is that all humanity thinks we are worth?" The question struck harder than anger. Nadia looked at the map, at the red lights, at the systems already gone. "No," she said softly. "That is why we are sending them." No one understood, and Nadia did not explain. Far from Astrian Ring, inside a quiet lunar dock above Terra, 50 black ships powered up one by one. Their hulls carried no bright banners, no heroic markings, only small white names burned into dark metal. At the front waited the command ship, Quiet Dawn. Captain Illyra Stone stood on its bridge while young officers checked final systems around her. Some tried to look calm, some failed. Most had trained for years, but training was not war. A sealed order opened on Illyra's private screen. She read it once, then again. Her face tightened at the final line. "Protect the Lyra Gate. Avoid full capability exposure unless no alternative remains." Illyra closed the file and looked toward the stars. "Take us out," she said. The 50 ships slipped into hyperspace. Behind them, Terra said nothing. Ahead, the Lyra Gate was already calling for help. Why would Terra send a young fleet instead of its strongest warships? What did full capability exposure really mean? And what would Vanguard 9 find when it reached the Lyra Gate?
The Lyra Gate filled every warning screen before Vanguard 9 even left hyperspace. 7 defense stations hung between 2 blue-white stars, connected by streams of navigation light. In peaceful years, the gate had guided merchant ships, colony transports, and explorers into the inner systems. Now its outer platforms were burning. Captain Illyra Stone watched the tactical view sharpen on the main display. Broken coalition ships drifted near the stations. Emergency beacons blinked from damaged hulls. Escape pods moved slowly through the debris field like sparks falling from a dying fire. Mara L spoke from weapons control. "Captain, Coalition fleet is still in formation, but barely. Their front line is damaged." "How many enemy ships?" Elira asked. Mara checked twice before answering. "More than 900 confirmed. Heavy carriers, assault cruisers, missile craft, and one command vessel near the rear." Elira's crew went quiet, but no one froze. They had trained for impossible numbers. They had not trained for the feeling of seeing them. On the Coalition flagship, Commander Sarek Vaughn stared at the new arrivals. The human vessels were smaller than he expected, sleek, dark, and strangely calm. They moved into position without asking for protection. A communication window opened. Captain Stone appeared. "Commander Vaughn, Vanguard 9 is taking the forward lane. Move your damaged ships behind the second station ring." Sarek's frills lifted in disbelief. "Captain, you have just arrived. You do not know the enemy's pattern." "I know your ships are bleeding power," Elira said. "If you stay where you are, the next missile wave will finish you." The truth struck him harder than insult. Sarek looked at the cracked glass of his own command deck, then at the tired faces of his crew. "Very well," he said at last. "We will move." Across the battlefield, the Kryll fleet changed course. Their commander, Marshal Vorun, appeared on an open broadcast. His armor was black, his face narrow, his eyes pale green. "So Terra finally sends children. Did your elders run out of courage?" Elira did not answer him. She opened a fleet channel instead. "Vanguard 9, shield net pattern Aster. Weapons set to precision disablement. Protect civilian stations first." The Kryll launched. Missiles poured forward in thick clouds. Fighters split into attack wings. Heavy cruisers began charging their forward guns. Vanguard 9 moved. Not fast, not wildly, perfectly. The human ships spread into a curved wall and released thin streams of silver fire. Each shot found a target. Missiles broke apart before reaching the stations. Fighter engines died in pairs. Kryll cruisers lost weapon ports without losing life support. Sarek watched, unable to understand the calm accuracy. The humans were not fighting like survivors. They were fighting like surgeons. For the first time in months, the Coalition line did not retreat. Then, one of the burned moons behind the gate opened. It was not a moon. It was a hidden Kryll siege ship covered in stone and dust. Its main cannon was already charged. Mara shouted, "Captain, ambush weapon locking onto the medical station." Elira's eyes snapped to the screen. Thousands of wounded civilians were inside that station. The hidden cannon fired. Elira gave one order: "Quiet Dawn, intercept." The command ship moved between the beam and the station. The impact threw every officer forward. Lights died across the bridge. When emergency power returned, Elira was still standing. But the private warning on her screen had changed from blue to red. "Sealed system available. Authorization required." Will Elira break Terra's restriction to save the medical station? Why did the Kryll hide a siege ship inside the moon? And what happens when the Quiet Dawn asks to unlock its sealed system?
Emergency lights painted the Quiet Dawn in red. The bridge smelled of burned circuits and hot metal. A few officers pulled themselves back into their seats. Someone near navigation was bleeding from the brow, but still reaching for the controls. Captain Elira Stone kept her eyes on the medical station. It was still there. The beam had missed it because the Quiet Dawn had taken the hit. Mara L. pushed through a storm of warning reports. "Outer shield is fractured. Port armor is damaged. Engine balance is unstable, but holding." "Casualties?" Elira asked. "Minor injuries on decks 4 and 7. No deaths." Only then did Elira breathe. On the main screen, the hidden Kryll siege ship turned out from the broken moon. Stone plates fell from its hull, revealing a long weapons spine glowing with green heat. It had not been placed there to win a battle. It had been placed there to kill the helpless. Commander Sarek Vaughn appeared on the side display. His face carried shock and shame together. "Captain Stone, that station has wounded from 7 species. If you had not moved—" "Evacuate it now," Illyra cut in. "Use every shuttle you have." Sarek nodded and vanished from the channel. Then Marshal Vorun returned on open broadcast. "You shielded the weak with your own command ship. A beautiful mistake." Illyra turned toward his image. "You fired on a medical station." Vorun's expression stayed empty. "War rewards those who remove burdens." A silence colder than fear passed across the human bridge. Illyra looked a red warning on her private screen. "Sealed system available. Authorization required." Mara noticed her glance. "Captain, if the siege ship fires again, we may not cross the distance in time." "I know." "The medical evacuation will take 9 minutes." The Kryll weapon spine began charging again. Illyra's fingers hovered over the command key. The order from Terra was clear. Avoid full capability exposure unless no alternative remained. She had been trained to obey, but no rule had ever carried the face of a child in a hospital bed. Illyra entered her authorization. The ship asked for final confirmation. She gave it. Deep inside the quiet dawn, silent compartments opened. Power that had been sleeping beneath training locks rose through the hull. The black metal did not glow all at once. It changed in thin lines, like dawn breaking through cracks in a wall. Across the fleet, the other 49 ships received the unlock signal. Their systems answered. Mara whispered, "Sealed array online." Illyra's voice was low. "Disable the siege ship. Remove the cannon, engines, and command link. Leave the crew alive." The quiet dawn fired. Not silver this time, blue. A narrow pulse crossed the battlefield and struck the siege ship's weapon spine. The great cannon folded inward without exploding. Then its engines went dark. Then its bridge signal vanished. The entire vessel drifted away from the moon, powerless. Vorun's image flickered for the first time. His confidence broke for only a heartbeat. Illyra saw it. So did everyone else. A new message flashed across every Terran screen. "Unauthorized capability exposure detected. Hold position. Senior command notified." Mara looked at Illyra. "Terra knows." Illyra watched the medical station shuttles begin to escape. "Good," she said quietly. "Then they know why." But on the disabled siege ship, a hidden transmitter sent one final burst into deep space. No one stopped it in time. What did the Kryll transmit before their siege ship went silent? How will Terra react to Illyra's broken order? And why did Vorun look afraid of a weapon he claimed not to know?
The hidden transmitter burned for only 3 seconds. That was all it needed. Before Mara L could trace the source, the signal escaped the Lyra Gate and vanished into the dark regions beyond Coalition space. Captain Illyra Stone stared at the empty line on the display. "Recover anything," she said. Mara's hands moved quickly. Trying, it was compressed and layered under damage noise. Across the battlefield, the Kryll fleet had stopped advancing. Hundreds of their ships still had power, but none pushed forward. The sudden fall of the siege ship had shaken their formation more than any explosion could have. Commander Sarek Vaughn opened a channel from the Coalition flagship. "Captain, our shuttles have cleared the first medical wing. The station still needs 4 more minutes." "You have them," Illyra replied. She looked at the Kryll line. Vorun was watching. She could feel it, even before his image returned. This time, Marshal Vorun did not smile. His pale green eyes studied her like she was a locked door he had almost opened. "That system," he said slowly, "your people were not meant to show it." Illyra kept her face calm. "Your siege ship forced my choice." "No," Vorun answered. "Your mercy forced it." The words should have sounded like mockery. Instead, they sounded like recognition. Mara's station chimed. "Captain, I have part of the transmission." Illyra muted Vorun before he could speak again. The recovered Kryll message appeared piece by piece. Young fleet confirmed. Hidden teeth revealed. Gate resistance stronger than expected. Wake the old chain. Illyra read the final words twice. "The old chain," she said. No one on her bridge knew what it meant, but someone else did. A priority channel opened from Terra. The face of Admiral Rowan Vale appeared. Silver hair, deep-set eyes, no ceremony, no greeting. "Illyra," he said, "tell me exactly what the Kryll sent." She sent the recovered message. For the first time since she had known him, Admiral Vale looked truly disturbed. Not angry, disturbed. "Sir," Illyra said, "what is the old chain?" Rowan did not answer quickly. Behind him, officers moved across a large command deck. The scale of it told Illyra he was not on a station. He was already aboard a warship. "Hold the gate. Do not pursue the Kryll. Do not open any unknown signal. Do not allow coalition ships to answer strange broadcasts, no matter what they hear." Illyra felt her stomach tighten. What are we expecting? Rowan's eyes shifted away for half a second. That half-second frightened her more than his words. Something Terra once failed to finish. Before she could ask more, the channel changed to fleet-wide command. "All Terran units at Lyra, lock down external audio paths. Shield medical and civilian channels first. Senior Defense Command is inbound." Sarek joined the line, confusion clear in his voice. "Admiral, the Kryll are still in front of us. Are you saying something worse is coming?" Rowan looked at him. "Yes." The word moved through the coalition ships like a crack in glass. Then the stars beyond the Kryll fleet flickered, not from engines, not from weapons, from something moving where nothing should move. Vorun's image returned for one final moment. His eyes were no longer pale green, they were almost white, and his voice was no longer fully his own. "The chain heard us," he whispered. Then every Kryll ship went silent. What is the old chain that even Terra fears? Why did Admiral Rowan order every ship to block unknown voices? And what happened to Vorun when his eyes turned white? Every Kryll ship went silent at the same time. No engine flare, no weapon charge, no command chatter. Only thousands of enemy vessels hanging in place, as if an invisible hand had closed around them. On the quiet dawn, Mara L leaned toward her screen. "Captain, the Kryll fleet is still active, but their crews are not responding. Their systems are receiving something from beyond the gate." Captain Illyra Stone looked past the Kryll formation. The distant stars were bending in small, uneven pulses. It looked almost like breathing. Then space behind Vanguard 9 folded open. Not with the clean flash of normal hyperspace. This arrival was heavier, deeper, as if the universe had moved aside because it had no choice. The first Terran capital ship entered the system. It was larger than any coalition station at the gate. Its black hull carried quiet blue lines from bow to stern, not bright enough to shine, but strong enough to make every sensor across the battlefield scream. Then a second ship arrived,
then a third. Within moments, 12 massive Terran warships formed behind Vanguard 9. Smaller escorts followed, though even those ships were bigger than most Coalition cruisers. Commander Sarek Vaughn stared at the display from his damaged bridge. The Coalition had begged for Terra's navy. Now he understood why Terra had not sent it first. Its arrival did not feel like rescue. It felt like a law of nature entering the room. Admiral Rowan Vale appeared across all channels. "This is Terran Defense Command. Coalition vessels will remain behind the station ring. Vanguard 9 will fall back to recovery distance. Kryll vessels are not to be fired upon unless they resume hostile action." Sarek found his voice. "Admiral, the enemy fleet is disabled. Why not finish them before the new threat arrives?" Rowan's face did not soften. "Because they may no longer be the ones steering their own ships." That answer chilled the entire command deck. Illyra opened a private channel. "Sir, Vorun changed before the silence. His eyes turned white. His voice changed too." "I saw the feed." "Then you know what this is." "I know enough to regret being right." Before Illyra could answer, the oldest Terran ship in the formation moved forward. Its name appeared on the shared display. TDS, Mercy of Iron. A strange name for a warship. Sarek noticed it too. "Admiral," he said carefully, "why does your lead battleship carry the word Mercy?" Rowan looked toward the frozen Kryll fleet. "Because mercy without strength is only a wish, and strength without mercy becomes another monster." No one replied. A new signal touched the edge of the system. It did not arrive as sound. It arrived as memory. For 1 second, every screen showed a white corridor, a locked door, and shadows moving behind glass. Then the image vanished. Mara's voice came out thin. "Captain, that signal was not sent to our computers." Illyra already knew. She had seen the corridor in her mind. Across the Kryll formation, white lights began to appear inside the dark ships, one by one, like eyes opening in a graveyard. Admiral Rowan gave his next order in a voice that carried years of pain. "All ships, mental shields to maximum. The old chain is here." Why are the Kryll ships lighting up from the inside? What memory did the strange signal force into every mind? And what truth is hidden behind the name, Mercy of Iron? The order spread through every Terran vessel. Mental shields to maximum. On the quiet dawn, silver bands lowered around the bridge walls. Thin panels slid over the communication speakers. The main display split into 2 layers, one for normal sensor data, one for anything that might touch the mind directly. Captain Illyra Stone had trained with these systems. She had never expected to use them. Mara L. checked the shield readings. "Mental barrier is stable. Crew exposure is low, but not 0. "Keep personal filters active," Illyra said. "No open audio from the Kryll ships." Commander Sarek Vaughn joined the station from behind the station ring. His voice carried controlled anger. "Admiral Vale, my people deserve answers. The Kryll are glowing from the inside. Your ships arrived prepared for this. What are we facing?" Admiral Rowan Vale did not avoid the question this time. "The old chain is an Eidolon control network," he said. "It was built to connect conquered minds across ships, stations, and colonies. Once linked, victims could be commanded like parts of one machine." Sarek's expression changed from anger to disgust. "And the Kryll?" Rowan looked toward the silent enemy fleet. They were among the first species taken by it. That truth carried into every coalition command deck. For months, the Kryll had been the nightmare of the galaxy. Now another possibility stood behind that nightmare. Maybe the Dominion had not started as a nation of monsters. Maybe it had begun as a wound that never healed. Illyra looked at the lead Terran battleship, Mercy of Iron. "Sir," she asked, "why name a warship that?" Rowan's eyes moved to the old capital ship. It was not built as a warship, not at first. Mara turned from her station. Then what was it? "A recovery vessel," Rowan said. "During the Eidolon War, Terra built ships to rescue controlled crews without destroying them. Mercy of Iron carried shielded hospitals, memory rooms, and isolation chambers. It saved thousands." Sarek's voice lowered. "Then why is it armed like a fortress?" Rowan took a slow breath. "Because rescue teams became targets. The Eidolons learned to hide inside the voices of the people we tried to save. A hospital ship had to become a battleship where everyone inside it would die." No one spoke for a moment. Then a new pattern appeared on the sensor screen. The white lights inside the Kryll ships were connecting to each other. Thin lines of pale energy stretched from vessel to vessel until the entire enemy fleet became a web. Mara's face tightened. "The network is rebuilding itself." Rowan answered at once, "Not rebuilding, awakening." At the edge of the system, a shape entered normal space. It was not large. That made it worse. The object was small, smooth, and white, shaped like a seed. It carried no weapons that sensors could find, no engines, no crew signs. But every Kryll ship turned toward it. Illyra felt pressure against her thoughts, like someone standing behind a locked door. A message formed on the filtered display. "Return what you stole, Terra. Return our voices." Sarek looked confused. Their voices? Rowan's face hardened with old guilt. In the final battle, Terra broke the chain by trapping part of it inside memory cores. We thought we had contained the Eidolons. The white seed drifted closer. Then the Mercy of Iron opened its ancient vault. Inside, something answered. What is locked inside the Mercy of Iron's ancient vault? Did Terra save the stolen voices or imprison them? And why is the white seed calling those voices home?
Inside the Mercy of Iron, the ancient vault opened for the first time in decades. It was not a weapon chamber. It was a room of black glass, silver cables, and thousands of floating memory cores. Each core held a soft light. Some glowed blue, some gold, some flickered so weakly they looked ready to fade. Captain Illyra Stone saw the vault through Admiral Rowan's feed. For a moment, she forgot the battlefield. Those lights were not machines to her. They felt like waiting souls. Mara L. read the data on the quiet dawn and frowned. "Captain, the vault is broadcasting identity fragments, names, places, last memories." "From the Eidolons?" Illyra asked. Admiral Rowan answered before Mara could. "From their victims." The words struck every channel. Commander Sarek Vaughn leaned closer to his screen. "You kept the minds of captured people inside your ship?" Rowan did not hide from the accusation. "We kept what we could save. The old chain was collapsing. Millions of controlled minds were being pulled into it. Our recovery crews caught fragments before they disappeared completely." Sarek's voice sharpened. "Fragments are not lives." "No," Rowan said, "but they were proof those lives existed." The white seed outside the Kryll formation moved closer to the Terran line. The memory cores inside the vault brightened. A message appeared on the filtered display. "You locked the broken pieces away and called it mercy. Open the cage." The words spread anger through the coalition ships.
For the first time, some commanders looked at Terra not as saviors, but as keepers of a terrible secret. Illyra felt that shift immediately. "Admiral," she said quietly, "if we do not explain this clearly, the Coalition may turn their weapons on the wrong target." Rowan nodded. He opened a public channel. "These cores are not Eidolon prisoners. They are records of people the chain destroyed. Terra has guarded them because the Eidolons can use any exposed fragment to rebuild control." The white seed pulsed. A sound slipped through the filters. Not a command, a child's laugh. Then a small voice spoke in old Kryll language. The translation appeared slowly. "Mother, are the moons still there?" Every Kryll ship in the silent fleet reacted. Lights changed, engines flickered, crew signals rose and vanished again. Mara looked stunned. That voice came from the vault, but the Kryll ships recognized it. Illyra's chest tightened. That memory belongs to them. On one disabled Kryll cruiser, a young officer forced open a narrow channel. He was the same one who had warned them earlier, his face pale with pain. "My people hear the lost. The chain is using grief to pull us back." The white seed sent another message. "Open the vault, Terra, or we will open every mind here instead." Sarek turned to Rowan. "Can it do that?" Rowan's silence answered first. Then he said, "If it links the vault fragments to the Kryll fleet, yes, it could make a bridge large enough to reach every unshielded mind at Lyra." Illyra looked from the vault to the Kryll ships, then to the white seed. For the first time, the mission was no longer about stopping an enemy fleet. It was about protecting memory itself, and the Eidolons had just turned the dead into a weapon. Can Terra protect the vault without losing the trust of the Coalition? Will the Kryll officer help break the grief link from inside his own fleet? And what choice will Illyra make when the Eidolons threaten every mind at Lyra?
The white seed did not attack with missiles. It attacked with longing. Across the Lyra Gate, thousands of Kryll ships flickered as the voices from the Mercy of Iron's vault touched them. The sounds were small at first, a child calling for its mother, an old pilot saying the name of his home, a singer humming beside an unseen ocean. They were not threats. That made them more dangerous. Captain Illyra Stone watched the Kryll fleet bend toward those voices like starving people smelling bread. Mara L's fingers moved across her console. The seed is building a bridge between the vault and the Kryll neural systems. It is using emotional recognition as a path. "Can we block it?" Illyra asked. "Not without sealing the vault completely." Admiral Rowan Vale heard her from the Mercy of Iron. "If we seal it now, the fragments inside may collapse. Some are already unstable." Commander Sarek Vaughn joined the line. "And if you do not seal it," Mara answered this time, "the Eidolons may reach every Kryll ship. After that, they could jump through open Coalition channels." Sarek looked toward his own crew. For the first time, his anger at Terra had no place to go. Every choice was cruel. Then the young Kryll officer appeared again. His name finally came through the translator, Tovan Mur. He was wounded, but awake. Behind him, his cruiser's lights flashed between green and white as the grief link pulled at his crew. "Human captain," Tovan said, "the voices are not false." Illyra leaned toward the screen. "You recognize them?" "My grandmother's brother, a teacher from our first colony, children from songs we were forbidden to sing." His throat tightened. "The Dominion erased them from our history. Terra kept them." Rowan's face changed at that. Not pride, relief mixed with sorrow. Tovan pressed one hand against his console. "The seed is using our grief, but grief is not obedience. Let me speak to my fleet."
Mara looked alarmed. His channel is half compromised. If we open it wider, the Eidolons might enter through him. Tovan heard her. Then do not open it wide. Open it sharp. Alira understood. A narrow burst, one message, no reply path. Mara nodded slowly. Possible. Rowan gave permission with a single movement of his hand. Alira looked at Tovan. What will you say? Tovan's eyes shone with pain. The truth. The channel opened for 3 seconds. Tovan's voice crossed the Kryll fleet. Brothers, sisters, those are our dead, but the white seed is not giving them back. It is wearing their voices like stolen skin. Remember them. Do not follow the thing that killed them. For one heartbeat, nothing changed. Then one Kryll cruiser turned away from the seed, then another, then 20. The grief link bent, weakened but did not break. The white seed pulsed with anger. This time it chose a new target. Not the Kryll, not the vault, Alira. Her private screen filled with a memory she had never shared. A childhood room on Terra, rain on glass, and her mother crying beside an empty chair. Mara looked over in horror. Captain, it found your memory. Alira's hands tightened. The Eidolon message appeared beneath the image. Everyone has a door. How did the Eidolons reach Alira's private memory? Can Tovan hold his people together before the grief link returns? And what pain from Alira's past will the white seed use against her?
The image on Captain Alira Stone's private screen should not have existed. A small room on Terra, rain sliding down glass, a woman sitting beside an empty chair. Alira had been 7 years old when that memory was made. She had never uploaded it, never recorded it, never placed it inside any ship's system. Yet the white seed had found it. Mara Eller lowered her voice. Captain, disconnect your console. Alira did not move. The screen changed. Her mother looked younger in the memory, thinner than Alira remembered. Her hands held an old officer's badge. The badge had belonged to Alira's father, a man officially listed as lost during deep space rescue work. Then the Eidolon message appeared. Your house also has a missing voice. Alira's breath caught. Admiral Rowan Vale saw the image through the emergency feed. His face went pale. Alira, he said, cut the link now. She turned toward him slowly. You know what this is? Rowan said nothing. That silence hurt more than the message. Alira's voice became sharp. Was my father connected to the old chain? The bridge crew stopped pretending not to listen. Rowan closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, he looked like a man choosing pain over another lie. Your father served on a recovery team aboard the Mercy of Iron. He entered a compromised Kryll vessel to rescue trapped minds. His body came back. His mind did not. Alira stared at him. All my life, I was told he died in a rescue accident. He did, just not the way you were told. The white seed pulsed beyond the fleet. The memory on Alira's screen changed again. Now an unfamiliar male voice spoke through the static. Alira? Mara stepped forward. Captain, that may not be real. Alira knew that, but knowing did not make it easier. The voice came again. My little star? Her face broke for 1 second. Only one. Then she understood the trap. The Eidolons had not entered her through fear. They had entered through love. Alira wiped her eyes with the back of her hand and stood taller. You are not my father, she said.
The voice softened. "Does that matter if I remember loving you?" That question struck the whole bridge. Even Mara looked shaken. Illyra looked toward the Mercy of Iron's vault, where thousands of memory fragments trembled under the seed's pull. If a memory can love, then it should be protected, not obeyed, not used, protected. Rowan looked at her with sudden understanding. "Tovin proved grief can resist the chain," Illyra continued, "but grief alone is not enough. The Eidolons are using broken memories because no one has given those memories a safe place to go." Mara's eyes widened. "Captain, are you suggesting we move the vault?" "No," Illyra said. "We answer it." She opened a clean broadcast channel, not to the white seed, but to the memory cores. Her voice carried through the Mercy of Iron. "To every fragment inside the vault, you are not weapons, you are not prisoners. You are names, songs, families, and homes. We will not open the cage for the thing that hurt you, but we will not bury you in silence again." The vault's lights changed. They stopped flickering. For the first time, they moved together. Mara whispered, "Captain, the fragments are stabilizing." Across the Kryll fleet, Tovin Mur bowed his head. "They heard you." But the white seed did not retreat. It split open. Inside was not a machine. It was a doorway. And something on the other side began to step through. What is coming through the white seed's doorway? Can Illyra turn the vault from a prison into a shield? And will the memory of her father help Lyra, or become the Eidolon's strongest weapon?
The thing behind the doorway was not a ship. It was a shape made from broken memories. Faces moved across it, some Kryll, some human, some from species no one in the Coalition had ever seen before. They appeared for a second, then folded back into the white light like paper thrown into fire. Mara L. stared at the readings. "Captain, it has no body. The seed is only a gate." Captain Illyra Stone kept her eyes on the opening. "Then what is passing through?" Admiral Rowan Vale answered from the Mercy of Iron, "The center of the old chain." Commander Sarek Vaughn looked shaken. "You mean the Eidolon leader?" Rowan said, "Not a leader, a hunger. It learned to survive by wearing minds." The doorway widened. Across the Kryll fleet, ships that had turned away from the seed began to struggle again, not fully controlled, but pulled as if invisible hooks had caught them. Tovin Mur appeared on the channel, breathing hard. "My crew is awake, but the pull is stronger now. It is not pretending anymore." Illyra looked toward the vault feed. The memory cores were steady now, thousands of small lights, no longer shaking under the seed's call. One light near the center glowed brighter than the rest. Then a voice spoke from the Mercy of Iron. "Illyra." This time it did not sound like a trap. It sounded careful, ashamed. Rowan turned slowly toward the vault. "Daniel?" Illyra's chest tightened. Her father's name. The memory core brightened again. "I am not the man you lost. I am what his last mission saved. A memory of him, a piece, but I remember enough." Illyra's eyes filled, but she did not step back. "Enough for what?" "To tell you why the old chain fears a harbor." Mara looked up. "A harbor?" Daniel's fragment answered. "The Eidolons do not only control minds, they isolate them. They make every victim feel alone, then offer one command voice as shelter. But if the broken memories link to each other by choice, the chain cannot rule them." Rowan's face changed. "The harbor protocol," he whispered. Illyra turned to him. "You buried that too?" Rowan said, "We never finished it. We were afraid the fragments would collapse if they chose to connect."
Daniel's voice softened. We were collapsing because we were not allowed to choose. Those words moved through every Terran channel. Illyra understood. The vault could not remain a locked museum of the dead. It had to become a place where memories could hold one another. She opened the fleet line. Mercy of Iron, prepare harbor protocol. Tovin, ask every Kryll crew that is awake to share one true name. Sarek, have the Coalition send home signals only. No commands, no orders. Sarek nodded. Names and homes, nothing else. The battlefield changed, not with weapons, with identity. Kryll crews spoke names banned by the Dominion. Coalition ships sent short signals from living worlds. The vault fragments answered with lost songs, old greetings, and unfinished goodbyes. The white shape inside the doorway recoiled. For the first time, the old chain had nothing lonely to grab. Mara's eyes widened. Captain, the gate is weakening but not closing. Something has to carry the harbor signal into the doorway. Illyra looked at the quiet dawn, then at her crew. No one needed to ask. She gave the order. Set course for the seed. Can the harbor protocol close the doorway before the old chain fully enters? Will Daniel's memory guide Illyra or fade before the final strike? And what happens when the quiet dawn flies into the heart of a living nightmare?
The quiet dawn turned toward the white seed. No enemy ship blocked its path. That made the approach worse. Captain Illyra Stone watched the distance fall on the main display. The seed hung ahead like a bright wound in space, small enough to fit inside a station dock, yet powerful enough to pull whole fleets toward madness. Mara L checked the harbor signal. Names are still coming in. Kryll crews, coalition worlds, vault fragments. The pattern is holding. Can it survive inside the doorway? Illyra asked. For a short time, Mara said. After that, the old chain may rewrite it. Admiral Rowan Vale appeared from the Mercy of Iron. Illyra, once you enter, normal command links may fail. Daniel's fragment will be your guide. A soft light formed on Illyra's private screen. Her father's memory spoke gently. I can find the center. I was there once during my last mission. Illyra wanted to ask 100 questions, what he remembered, whether any part of him felt proud of her, whether saying goodbye to a memory could hurt as much as losing the person again. But there was no time. Guide us in, she said. The quiet dawn crossed the seed's outer field. Space changed. Stars disappeared. The ship entered a place that was not a place at all. Around them floated pieces of lives, a soldier's last sunrise, a mother's song, a child's drawing, a captain's final order. They drifted together, trapped in pale streams. Mara's voice became careful. Captain, our hull is intact, but location no longer makes sense. Distance is changing without movement. Daniel answered, Do not follow distance, follow choice. A path opened ahead, marked by small golden lights from a harbor protocol. Then the old chain noticed them. It did not scream, it welcomed them. Images formed around the bridge. Illyra saw herself back on Terra, older, safe, with her father alive beside her. Mara saw a future where no crew member ever died under her watch. Sarek saw his homeworld untouched by war. Tovin saw the Kryll restored without shame. Every promise was beautiful. Every promise was false. Illyra gripped the command rail. Do not answer it, not with fear, not with desire. Remember who you are without its gifts. Tovin's voice reached them through the harbor signal. Kryll crews are repeating their true names. The pull is weakening. Sarek added, Coalition ships are sending home signals. We will keep the path open. The golden lights brightened. At the center of the doorway, the old chain finally showed its heart.
It was a knot of stolen memories wrapped around a single command: obey and be whole. Daniel's fragment spoke with sadness. That is the lie. It offers wholeness by taking away the self. Illyra looked at the harbor signal spreading from ship to ship, memory to memory, living to lost. Then we answer with the truth. Mara understood. Broadcasting now. The quiet dawn released the harbor protocol into the heart of the chain. Names poured through. Homes, songs, goodbyes, promises freely given. The knot began to open. But Daniel's light started fading. Illyra turned toward the screen. "Dad?" "He have to stay," he said. "The harbor needs an anchor inside the chain." "No!" Illyra whispered. His voice warmed, almost like memory becoming human again. "My little star, this is what I was trying to do all those years ago. Let me finish it." The doorway cracked open around them. Outside, every ship saw the white seed begin to collapse inward. Mara shouted, "Captain, we have one exit window." Illyra looked at Daniel's fading light. Then she gave the hardest order of her life. "Take us home." Will the quiet dawn escape before the seed closes? Can Daniel's fragment hold the harbor protocol long enough to end the old chain? And what final choice will decide the future of Terra, the Kryll, and the Coalition?
The exit window was smaller than a breath. The quiet dawn raced through the collapsing seed while the harbor signal burned behind it like a golden trail. Around the ship, pieces of stolen lives pulled free from the old chain and rushed toward the light Daniel Stone held open. Mara L. did not look away from her controls. Exit path is unstable. The seed is folding faster than expected. Captain Illyra Stone stood at the center of the bridge, one hand pressed against the command rail, the other still near the dark screen where her father's fragment had been. She wanted to call him again. She did not, because if she spoke, she might ask him to leave the anchor, and if he left, everyone else would be lost. Outside the doorway, the fleets of 3 powers watched the white seed shrink. Terran warships held their formation. Coalition vessels sent steady home signals. Kryll ships, no longer silent, repeated names that had been buried for generations. Tovan Mur's voice crossed the harbor line. "We are still here. We are still ourselves." Those words reached Illyra at the exact moment the quiet dawn broke free. The seed collapsed behind them. There was no explosion, no grand fire, only a wave of golden light spreading across the Lyra Gate, touching every ship, station, and broken piece of wreckage. Then, the white lights inside the Kryll vessels went out. Not into darkness, into peace. For several seconds, the entire system held its breath. Mara checked the readings twice. "The old chain is gone." Admiral Rowan Vale appeared on the main screen from the Mercy of Iron. His face carried relief, grief, and pride all at once. "The vault?" Illyra asked. Rowan looked toward someone off-screen, then back at her. "Stable. The fragments are connected by choice now. They are not trapped anymore." Illyra closed her eyes. Daniel was gone. But he had not vanished into silence. He had become the first anchor of a harbor built for every stolen memory. Across the battlefield, Kryll ships lowered their weapons. Some opened emergency channels asking for medical aid. Others transmitted old family names, colony songs, and apologies so raw that even hardened coalition officers could not answer at first. Commander Sarek Lon spoke from his damaged flagship. "Captain Stone, Tovan Mur is requesting permission for Kryll survivors to assist in rescue operations." Illyra looked at the ships that nearly destroyed the gate, then at the stations they had almost lost. "Permission granted," she said, "but under Coalition watch." Sarek gave a tired nod. "That is fair."
In the days that followed, the Lyra Gate changed from a battlefield into a meeting ground. The wounded were treated first, the dead were named next, the truth came after. Terra opened the records of the Eidolon War. The Coalition learned why humanity had hidden its power. The Kryll learned they had a history before the Dominion. Trust did not return quickly. It arrived carefully, one honest act at a time. Months later, the surviving Kryll chose a new name for themselves, the Morian Free Clans, after the sea under 3 moons. At Asterion Ring, High Speaker Orvin Kell stood beside Ambassador Nadia Vale and Captain Illyra Stone as a new memorial was lit. It carried no symbol of victory, only a sentence. No mind belongs to a chain. No memory belongs to silence. And every year after that, when ships passed through the Lyra Gate, they sent one simple message into the stars. For Daniel, for the lost, for the living who chose freedom over fear. We are here. We are whole. We are free. The war ended at Lyra, but the galaxy would always remember the day humanity's greatest weapon was not power, but mercy strong enough to save its enemies. May this message strengthen your faith and renew your hope. Thank you for staying until the end. If this touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe to Astro Realms for more uplifting content. May God's blessings overflow in your life. See you soon.